France in the 19th century, though it may not seem like that long ago, was very different than the France we know today. Having just undergone the Renaissance, change was in the air and people's minds were dripping with new discoveries. However, some pre-Renaissance ways still clung on for dear life. Despite the increased wages and standard of living of the average person, the aristocracy still controlled 33% of national income.
33%?
33%, man! There was a distinct divide in between upper and lower class. The upper class, or aristocracy, was made up mainly of noble families and their relatives, along with wealthy entrepreneurial landholders. Their lifestyle included going to the theater, to the opera, feasting, dancing. They were constantly being bathed in luxuries and goods. To the people of the middle class, or bourgeoisie, image meant everything. The number of servants a family had was important, as was their clothing and home decor. They found pride in showcasing their wealth. Although they were not royal, they were the most upper class after aristocracy. The lives of the people of the working, or lower class, depended largely on physical labor. They couldn't afford the same luxuries as people of the upper classes, and they often had to work for the latter as maids, cooks, gardeners, etc. Among the bourgeoisie was Guy de Maupassant. Raised by his mother, a strong-headed and well-read woman, Guy was exposed to literature at a very young age. As he grew older, he became engrossed in it, and, having a natural aversion to society and a love for retirement, solitude, and meditation, authored some 300 short stories. He was fascinated by the discipline of psychiatry, something made evident in his works of fiction, but later on in his life, he became a subject of the study himself. A victim of the syphilis he had contracted in his earlier years, he developed a constant desire for solitude, an obsession with self-preservation, a fear of death, and crazed paranoia of persecution. He tried to commit suicide, but his attempt was unsuccessful. The morbidity of his life was subtly reflected in his characters. Mathilde Loisel, for example, the protagonist of The Necklace, is a pretentious young woman who, because of her natural beauty and charm, thinks she should be the equal of the loftiest dames. Much to her dismay, she isn't. Many of her personality traits, her insecurity, her shallowness, her ignorance, revolve around the shame she feels about being a part of the working class and nothing more. Her happiness is entirely dependent on materialistic things, which leaves her insensitive to more important things, such as the love her husband has for her. The rising action of the short story begins when Mr. Loisel, being the kind-hearted and compassionate person he is, attempts to bring a smile to his wife's face by getting them an invitation to the party, the kind of party that only women of the upper classes are welcome to. Her reaction is not the grateful one he expects. Instead, Mathilde becomes distressed, claiming that she has nothing to wear and no jewels to adorn herself with. Mr. Loisel, after having selflessly given her the money to buy herself a dress, suggests that she go to her wealthy friend, Madame Forrester, to borrow jewels. She finds this is a good idea, so she does just that. She falls instantly in love with the necklace. Madame Forrester agrees to let her borrow the necklace, and, thrilled, Mathilde has the time of her life at the party. For once she feels like she belongs to the class of her dreams. All is well until... disaster! She gets home and realizes that the necklace is gone. Her husband, of course, sets out to look for it, but to no avail. Mathilde is devastated. Her shame, however, leads her to lie to her friend about losing it, and she replaces it instead with a very similar one that sends her and her husband into a deep, deep debt. They spend the next 10 years of their lives paying it off, during which Mathilde becomes rough and bitter. She loses her elegance, her physical beauty. One day, out of the blue, Madame Loisel crosses paths with Miss Forrester. She decides to come clean about her lie, at which point Madame Forrester laughs and reveals that the necklace was only paste, a fake. The reader is left dumbfounded. Among other things, the story demonstrates that we are only as happy as we give ourselves permission to be. Joy and satisfaction cannot be bought. No, They come rather from self-acceptance, love, and relationships. Mr. Loisel, for example, is in exactly the same social and economic position as his wife, but, on the contrary to her, is a satisfied man. The wealth of a person or a woman is in her personality rather than in her bank account. Or, as Guy de Maupassant puts it,
women's native keenness, their instinctive elegance, and their flexibility of mind are their only hierarchy. And these make the daughters of the people the equals of the loftiest dames.
It is interesting, then, that the author describes the necklace as being clasped around Mathilde's throat instead of her neck. It's almost as if her obsession with wealth is choking her and keeping her from being happy. Mathilde Loisel, though, is blind to this. Instead, she feels strangled by her inability to prove herself as worthy of wealth. Upon leaving the party, her husband brings her her wraps, symbolic of their poverty, and she feels suffocated by them. She wants them to go away, like if only she could escape her wraps, then she could escape the harsh reality of her life. Similarly to the nighthawk cabs that come to pick her and her husband up, she is ashamed of her misery in the daytime. She's constantly trying to deceive others into thinking that she's indeed richer than she actually is. She would have liked to please, to be envied, to be seductive and sought after. Her deepest desires only scratch the surface of human depth. The necklace that follows her throughout the story, if only in spirit, represents this clearly. She wears it openly, on display to the public eye, just like her false image. When Mr. and Madame Loisel go to a very expensive jeweler's to find out if there is a copy of the necklace that they can purchase, they bring the box in which the necklace came. To their surprise, though, the man working there tells them that the only thing supplied by the store was the box. Not only does this foreshadow that there's a possibility that the necklace was paste, but in the same way that the box gave a false impression of the necklace inside, Mathilde Loisel is a fake inside her dress and jewels. It really makes the reader think about not judging a book by its cover. How singular life is! How changeable! What a little thing it takes to save or to lose you, writes Guy de Maupassant. Funny how everything can change in an instant, especially in a world of lies, like the one famously constructed by Mathilde Loisel.